Dom, do you have your knives out?
I have my knives out. My
Um,
collection of knives.
yes, it's it's funny. You picked this one, but when you look at the background and a lot of the shots, they have that Game of Thrones chair in the background, which I thought was kind of cool for
I
this
did too,
movie.
but they never really explain that. I mean, it's a really elaborate setup.
No, they didn't explain it, and I don't know whether there was some kind of a bigger story behind that or not. But I mean, he
He
was
was a
a what?
mystery writer.
Yes, and so the fact that he was a mystery writer, it's knives for killing and death and stuff. So
But still,
that's
there's
what
a
I
lot of mystery writers. I'm willing to bet none of them have chairs
yeah that
with this
that are
huge display
yeah
of knives behind them.
yeah no I totally agree with you and yeah but there he is in just behind my just behind my ear there.
Christopher
So,
Plummer in his last role.
oh wow, yeah, I didn't even realize that was his last role, but you want to give the intro because this was your pick.
I do. I really want to give the intro, but before I do, let me touch on something I discovered about last week's movie, Eat My Dust.
Okay.
So, as you'll remember, your pick last week was the Ron Howard film, Eat My Dust.
Yep.
And I said one of the best things about that movie was the soundtrack by David Grisman.
Yes. Yep.
So, I attended a music gathering with a neighbor of mine who plays several instruments, really into music,
Cool.
um, has been playing for like 60 years.
Yep.
And one of the things he plays is bluegrass. So I happened to bring that up. He actually knew the movie Eat My Dust,
Oh wow.
which
Okay.
shocked me.
Cool.
He had seen it, he was very familiar with it.
Nice.
And when I told him, about the David Grisman connection, he knew about that as well. What he knew that I didn't is that Eat My Dust is not a well-known film. And among David Grisman fans, that theme song is known as EMD.
Oh, okay. Huh.
And it's known as EMD because
Eat
it's
my
very
dust.
popular. People request Grisman play it, they love it. Grisman is embarrassed to relate it to that film. So he does not want to say, Eat My Dust.
Wow. Wow.
And so among fans, it's always known as EMD,
Huh. Huh. Well,
which is not,
I absolutely wouldn't be embarrassed by the film
I
because
wouldn't either. I mean, I don't get it, but that's
yeah,
the story this guy told me, which I
yeah.
thought was hilarious.
Well, no, I can see why somebody might feel that way. It's just that um to me it's like a fun which
Well, I
is
mean,
why I
it
picked
wasn't a horrible movie,
no, it wasn't and
and the
it was a
soundtrack is great. So why he would be embarrassed, I don't know.
yeah, but I can there's plenty of people there's plenty of celebrities and musicians and stuff that are embarrassed by something that they did. I mean, the Animals were embarrassed by San Francisco Nights and
Really?
yes, and because they thought it was very cliched the lyrics and it was like kind of like dumb hippie kind of like rhetoric and stuff that was in the cop's
I mean, they're
face.
not wrong,
No,
but
no, they're not, because even the thing cop's face is filled with hate. It's but it's I get that they pointed out like different lyrics that like bugged them that they thought was like cliche and stupid, but it's a great song. I love that song, and when you first hear the opening chords of that song coming on, it's like yes, it's a classic song, but yeah, um, I I don't I would never be embarrassed by dust if I was if I
right.
actually think it was cool if I was had something to do with the movie. Oh, I was in that movie. It's like wow, you, you can say
But
that.
anyway, I
Yes,
digress. Let me get back on track, back on topic.
yeah,
This week's movie is the 2023 19, yeah, 2019, Rian Johnson film Knives Out, starring,
I didn't realize it was that far back too, because
no, I didn't either. I
I
saw
thought
it
it
at
was
the
newer.
theater.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm like, I knew it was pre-COVID because again, I saw it at the theater.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
so uh we are introduced to the Thromby family, whose patriarch is Harlan Thrombey, famous mystery writer, has made
yeah,
an absolute fortune off of his books and now lives in a mansion, but is sort of estranged from his family. Dotes on them, but I don't get the fact that I don't get the sense that he really loved hanging around them that much.
no,
He did love hanging around his nurse, his medical aide,
yeah,
who
Marta.
would play go with him, who would, joke around with him, who was much more relaxed with him.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, one night they're together. By mistake, she gives him a fatal dose of morphine. He knows that it was a mistake, knows he's going to die. And in order to give her an alibi, basically tells her how to escape, ramification free, connection
right.
free.
Like a
Um,
plot from one of his books.
and yet, and yet, it looks like a suicide. He sets up to look like a suicide. And yet, someone hires the famous detective Benoit Blanc.
Yes, yeah,
Yes. Played by Daniel Craig.
yeah,
Amazing Daniel Craig.
yes,
And who is such a great detective, he figures the entire thing out.
yeah. It's he was so good in this. I mean,
He
was
was
so
so good. I like
it,
this
it's
blew me away.
well, he did me too, and that's the thing that I think the movie would not have been anywhere near as good if he hadn't played the role and done so well in it. Because I'm to tell you the truth, I'm so used to him as Bond now. He's one of my favorite Bonds,
Well, I
and
can remember him pre-Bond from like Layer Cake.
yes, yeah, oh yeah, he's had a career pre
But
Bond, but
but
he
he
is
never impressed me at all until this movie.
really, really well. I liked him as Bond. I thought he played a good. To me, yeah, to me he was like because Sean Connery's my favorite Bond.
Well, exactly.
You
No
know,
one has ever measured up to Sean Connery.
yeah, no, there's been a lot of pretenders. There's been a lot of contenders, but
Roger Moore did great.
yep,
Still not Sean Connery.
yeah, but Sean Connery was the Bond. He was, without him in the role, those are big shoes to fill. I thought he did a great job because I thought he carried it off in a similar way that Sean Connery did with the tough guy, but still be able to carry off the suit and an elegant setting, and he looked the part, um, seemed the part, and he also was tough, and like Sean Connery had that. He was, I mean, Sean Connery in real life came out of the Navy. He was a working man. He was
Well,
a
that's the
tough guy.
thing. Sean Connery really he embodied that Bond, whereas Daniel Craig wasn't bad, but you always got the sense he was playing a role.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But watching him in this, um, and I even thought he pulled off the accent pretty good.
Oh,
And
he pulled it off amazing.
what I see a lot of people do like Southern accents, and he was doing like a rich man, elegant kind of a Southern
So he
drawl.
studied. He
Yeah.
studied hard to get that accent. Guess what? One of the characters he studied for that accent,
Oh,
Foghorn Leghorn.
that's great. That's great. Wow.
And
That's a
like when once I read that, because I'm reading up on the movie to do this video. Once I read that, I couldn't not hear it.
honestly, now that you say it, uh, now that you say it, it makes a lot of sense because I do, I do hear some foghorn leghorn in
But
there.
that's a joke, son.
Yeah, yeah. Don't you get it? Holy crap, that's great. Yeah, and the other thing is this scene here was one of because this is how they introduce him, and this scene here is hysterical. He's there in the background, which you can't see him because but he's there in the background while the cops, the 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 detectives are interviewing the family about what happened, and he's in the background. And what's he doing? I can't even remember what was he doing with making the sound.
He
It
was
was
playing the piano.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was right next to that piano. He just hit a chord on the piano, just hit a note, and it was hysterical. And finally, in the middle of the whole thing, finally, what's her name? Jamie Lee Curtis goes, "Who is that man?" Like there in the background. I'm pretty sure it was her that asked the question, but it's like the whole family just is seeing him, and when someone talks and says something too long, he just ding.
So much of this movie, again, it looked like I thought it was very well done. It looked like perfection. It was very
Yeah,
well designed. It went like clockwork.
yeah,
But reading about this movie, so much of this movie was done on the fly. Like they did not originally intend for the piano thing to happen.
really.
They wanted him to. He had some clicker thing or something that
Yeah,
made the noise. But once they were on set, they started talking like, you know what, this piano would be perfect for that.
yeah, 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 and it's right there in the room as part of the set. So, no, the movie. First of all, the cast in this movie,
Oh my God.
what an all-star cast, and they're great. They're like you get movies that have a whole it's an array of great names, but this is an array that like not only is great names, but they all work together well.
They
It was
worked together so well. There were no
yeah,
egos, there were no jagged edges with the performances.
no, no, and I mean look at who you had. Ana de Armas, beautiful, talented as hell. She's been in so many cool roles. I love her.
Chris
Um,
Evans. Chris Evans
yeah.
is a villain. I love this.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, and again, look at I mean Christopher Plummer, absolutely. Tony Collette, I love Tony Collette. You
Yep,
know,
yep.
Michael Shannon. I mean, Michael
Don
Shannon's
Johnson.
yeah, yes, and Don Johnson playing a really good subtle character. Uh, I liked everybody in this movie. I thought everybody did a fantastic job. It's just a winner. And I haven't seen the sequel. I know you said something about you didn't think it was
Sequel
as
sequel is good. It's not quite as good, but it's
right.
still good.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen that, so I can't really speak to
And
that at
there's a third
all.
movie coming out.
Wow, really?
Yeah, this
Wow.
year there's supposed to be a movie called Wake Up Dead Man.
Huh. Huh. So yeah, like I said, I really wasn't aware. I only saw this one probably about the first time I saw it, probably was a year or two ago. And so when you said you wanted to do this one this week, I just went and revisited it. But and watching it for the second time, I have to say I think I enjoyed it as much or more the second time. And I that to me that's a huge thing for how good a movie is. People talk about, oh, I never watch a movie more than once. Well, we do. Let's face it, we're movie fans. But if you watch a movie and then you revisit the movie and you think, I really enjoyed that the first time I saw it, but it was like there's no rewatchability to this. And if you find that in a movie, to me, it takes away from what the movie is. And again, like I said, I haven't seen the sequel, but
The
this one,
sequel is definitely worth watching. I've seen the
yeah,
sequel twice actually already.
yeah, I will definitely have to check it out. But this one, everything was done so I love the intermesh of the characters. I thought it was cool as hell how the detective, because and especially at the end when he's saying to Marta, she goes, when were you on to me? And he was like, oh, right from the beginning, and he points a little blood spot on her show, and she's like, ah, yeah. But but I mean, I thought it was just cool how he was kind of, he knew she wasn't guilty of killing the guy, and so he was helping her along with that family that was all just trying to get the money. And I don't always like the, believe me, there's plenty of like stereotypical evil families that are just trying to get the whatever money they can get from the, the patriarch or matriarch of the family that has the money. but but it's almost stereotypical of like, oh, the family's got to be evil because they're rich. But and there are evil ones and there are good ones. But anyway,
I
this,
gotta say this movie did really play up a class warfare.
yeah, yeah. But I'll tell you what, it's done well enough and playfully enough that it's good fun is
Right.
what it is. It starts with the birthday party for the father, and then it goes to the telling how he died, the whole thing with the overdose, and it's pretty brilliant. And then there's the little twist at the end, which we don't even have to go too far into it. We are spoiler alert, and we
We
do.
are spoiler alert.
But I mean, but we could we could go into that, but it's not even really needed, other than the fact that you can see right here. This is a giveaway right here
Yeah.
when he attacks Marta, which I thought it was almost a little silly, and at the same time, it's hysterical that the knife that he chooses to pick out of the Game of Thrones chairs is he stabs her with it, and it's like going in and out, and it's like he's like, wow. so, but
Yeah,
the
but
other,
I did enjoy when I first saw this going into it not knowing exactly how it's going to end.
yeah,
But on second watch, you don't need that. And I still
no,
contend that my greatest joy was Daniel Craig's performance throughout this
yeah,
entire movie.
it's
Every time I saw him on screen, I loved his character.
yeah, he made you laugh with things that he said and did, and like I said, just how the whole setup was, even the stuff when they're walking around outside and they're exploring like for the footprints and everything, and she's walking through, Marta's walking through and trying to, she realizes like, wow, there's my footprints, and she's covering them over by stepping on top of it, and he's like, oh, no, don't walk there. But it's already too late. So I don't, like I said, the comedy that's in this is terrific,
Mhm.
and I love how it all works, and again, there's great interplay between Marta and the patriarch, the old man. There's terrific interplay between those two. I love the bond and the chemistry they had. And then Daniel Craig, it ends up the same way with him, with Marta, and how protective he is of Marta. It's like I said, I just feel like it. And the poor girl, she's like really freaking out. She's just kind of like
Who
caught.
wouldn't?
Oh my God. Can you just imagine? Because she really didn't do anything. She didn't do any, it wasn't like she made this like really bad mistake. She actually, that's one of the things that's proven, is that she actually didn't, she did give him the right stuff, and then it was, but of course the bottles had been switched, and so she thought she had given him the wrong morphine instead.
I mean, how horrible would that be?
Yeah. Oh
You
my
think you've
God. Yeah.
killed someone,
Yeah.
someone you like.
Right. And hey, you know it. It's being in the medical field, the responsibility that you feel for a patient.
Yeah, if you
And
realized you had given someone a lethal dosage of
yeah,
something, that
yeah. And I
I
I mean,
can't even imagine.
yeah, no, I couldn't either. And I mean, it could be something that you couldn't even just come back from emotionally after something like that. I mean, hey, let's face it, people in the medical field, they have a terrible responsibility at times, and things do happen. And so it's not that it's, we're all humans and mistakes can happen, things can happen in the medical field. I mean, that's why malpractice insurance exists. It's because of that. But at the same time, it's not only tragic, but whether you're a cop that ends up like, you know, accidentally killing somebody, that, in a situation, that a person in a crowd or some kind of thing like that, when there's like some kind of like crazy flurry of activity, that like an accident happens, or whether you're a doctor or a nurse or whatever, the amount of guilt that is going to be left behind. And like I said, this poor girl, she's kind of just like completely set. And that scene is a great scene, by the way.
Oh, that's a fantastic scene.
Because you don't see her, you just see her back in the scene when she comes up to, is everything okay? And yeah, because of the noises that were made, and this is after he has already been dosed, and he's like, yes, just go back to your room, everything's fine. We're just having a little game here, and then she
Yeah,
leaves, and
I gotta say, the movie's replaying of the same scene, but from different points of view,
yes,
I
yeah,
thought was
that's
genius.
you're right. That actually is one of the things that made this film so fun. Is I love films like that. I love when a
Hmm.
film has so you're seeing different perspectives, and now you're understanding why like one person is doing what they're doing. It's like puzzle pieces that are all like fitting together. And this movie, it's a clever movie. It's
What
a fun, clever movie.
One of the things that really impressed me is we've been doing this for a while,
Yeah,
and so many times I'll look into a movie and it will be based on a book.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
could have sworn, particularly with the character of Benoit Blanc,
yeah.
that there was a series of mystery novels out there that this movie was based on, but that's not it. This was written and directed by Rian Johnson.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
if you want to know some of the other films on his resume, he did Brick, he did
Oh,
Looper,
he did what?
Looper,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Um,
he's done a few episodes of Poker Face.
oh, wow, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
I've
so
I've only seen one or two of Poker Face, but I like it.
one of the things I'm going to link to in the description when we
Yeah,
put this video up is my video talking about different mystery shows on TV
yeah,
because one of them is Poker Face. I love mysteries.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Um, you need to do another TV one, like you, for people. I don't know if you guys have seen, anyone listening and watching us right now, but Dom did one on TV shows that he likes and loves, and you need to do another episode. But because I really enjoyed watching that, I hope other people did. And the other thing for people to check out, and I don't often say it or mention it to even to Dom, but your shorts that you do for bringing audiences in for a particular movie, you do a good job with some fun, humorous, clever ones.
Well,
I love the one you did for Eat My Dust. Yeah, you really had me cracking up with some of the lines and everything. Dom does a wonderful job. Check out the shorts that are related to the movie. He usually does one before, and
have you
it's a
seen
lot
my
of fun.
short for this movie?
Yeah. Yes, I have. Yeah.
I tried my best to do that accent.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, it's one of the things that I thoroughly enjoy before we put the movie up, is seeing what you're going to come up with for that lead in. So the lead in shorts that Dom does, please check them out, everyone, because they are cool, they are entertaining. Um, Dom's,
And they're short.
yeah, and they're short. Yeah. So painless to watch. Even if you don't like it, it's painless to watch. But he does a terrific job, and you need to keep doing those. But yeah, again, I love a good mystery. And there's not, there's been some like Agatha Christie ones. Some of them I've enjoyed, and some of them have just been tedious. So this one was by no means at all tedious. It's just fun.
This movie is over 2 hours long, and it did not feel that way to
God,
me
it
at
didn't
all.
feel that way at all. In fact, you're saying that to me, and I didn't even know it. I didn't check the time on it. I seldom, talking about time on movies. I seldom check how long a movie is. I mean, every once in a while, I'll start a movie, and at some point, might maybe realize like, oh shit, this is actually like 3 hours, and only thinking that because it's like, well, I got to get to bed, I got to get up to work tomorrow or whatever. But like I usually don't mind a longer movie if it's good. I had no idea that this was. I mean, this could have been 90 minutes, and I would have.
I had no idea either. Again, looking into the movie, I discovered the runtime, and I was shocked.
Yeah. Now this is another scene right here that when I first saw this the first time, and even when I saw it the second time, I was I was not like one good thing with me when I watch a movie, a lot of times I forget like little key things, and I'll be rewatching it and
That
I'll
is
be
a
like, oh,
blessing.
yes, it is a blessing because if you're somebody that's got like a super photographic memory and everything, maybe you are the person that shouldn't rewatch a film because it's all going to be just playing out just exactly the way you remember it. But a lot of times I'll forget like little fun key things. And the whole thing with her in the warehouse when Marta finds her, um, she like because you're thinking to yourself that the scene where she's on the floor, and she says you did it, and it's like, wow, she's bad. You're thinking to yourself, she's like trying to set her up because it's obvious she didn't do it. And it's like, wow, this is so bad because it's like she's going to get framed for this. And that's not what she was saying at all. That was one of the fun key elements to this. So, like I said, this movie had so much in the way of like little little things that would take you off of the track, and you'd be like thinking that something else was going on, and then it would bring you back. And so, and yeah, like you were saying, the different perspectives and how they would play scenes that would suddenly like, oh, this is why this looked like this. It's cool. This
It
film has a lot going on like
has
that.
a lot going on. It's well thought out.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I love this film so much is because this is one of those films that I didn't just see it at the theater. I went in cold. I had no idea
Wow.
what to
Wow.
expect. I don't know
Yeah.
what made us choose this film because this isn't normally a film I would go see at the theater.
Well, it's got a hell of a cast. I mean,
And
Toni
wow,
Collette behind you. I love her.
I love the whole thing just so much. It
Yeah,
works so well. It blew me away.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, again, I've seen plenty of movies that they just laden the cast with stars and people that were big, and that doesn't make a film a success or that it's going to work. This one worked, and it
Mhm,
worked on so many levels. And
mhm.
I this is another scene that I thought was hysterical with the when he's trying to like manipulate her and this whole thing in the booth. There's so many like you can compartmentalize scenes that are just pure entertainment in this movie. I mean, this is another one when the whole family's outside and they're all standing there looking at Marta, and it's like, there's like I said,
Mhm.
um, just in little confrontation. This scene here, of course, one of the opening scenes with introducing Daniel Craig. That's a great scene, and it's
Mhm,
terrific for introducing us to who he is and who the family is for that
mhm,
matter.
mhm.
But
Chris Evans almost didn't take this role.
wow, wow.
He was currently filming one of the Avengers movies.
Oh, okay.
And he didn't think he'd have the time, but then some production stalls on that movie, opened up a window in his time. And when he found out that Knives Out was going to be filmed near his home in Massachusetts,
Huh.
he's like, okay, I'll take the role.
Well, that was one of the things that cracked me up about this movie too. I often, and I have relatives that live in Massachusetts. So do you. and and I often refer to that there is a, for anyone who isn't in New England and doesn't know this, there's there's a there's a there's a term that people use for people from Massachusetts, and it's called massholes because there's so many that tend to. If you're driving on the road in Boston, you'll know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah, just look at some of Bill Burr's Saturday Night
oh
Live
my God,
skits.
yes,
He
I
is the
love.
perfect Bostonian.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And the Massachusetts character is both fun, funny, and also obnoxious. And so you, when you add all of that together, and this family, it stands to reason they're kind of masshole.
Hmm.
But I love seeing the Mass State Troopers, by the way, because just the way Mass State Troopers, they always look like Nazis to me. With the pants and everything. But I mean, it's kind of like a elegant uniform, but it's kind of, and you see several scenes with the Mass State Troopers in the background, which, yeah, it's like home to me. I've grown up around seeing that's a classic. The colors of their cruisers, everything. It's so to me, being from New England, that made it fun too. But you don't have to be from New England to enjoy this. It's just fun.
No, it
And
just adds a level of enjoyment for us.
yes, yeah, a certain knowingness to being in this area or from this
Much
area.
like I loved the movie Zero Effect because it was set in Portland,
Yes,
I
yeah,
also love Knives Out because it was set in Massachusetts.
yeah. And honestly, I think people love seeing familiarity in a film. I mean,
Totally.
I've spent a lot of time in New York City doing antique delivery. I did that for years, and going into Manhattan. So when I see scenes of New York, and even though I'm not a New Yorker, I don't have any affiliation with New York other than being there a lot. So seeing buildings, seeing scenes, seeing places, it's um, it's really cool. It brings out this like heartwarming thing almost to your eyes when you see that. And this is something I meant to ask you. Did you look up anything on the house that this was filmed around and in? Because I didn't, and I didn't see anything on it. But it's was that a Massachusetts house?
It was a Massachusetts house. I read a few things on it, but nothing sticks out. It was sort of interesting. I remember reading it was this mansion built in something something, but
Yeah,
none of it was really that interesting.
yeah. Because like certain films like Burnt Offerings when we did that one, and
Well, I mean, in Burns Offerings, the house itself is almost a cast member.
it is, yeah, yeah, it really is. When I mean, you looked up some pretty incredible details on that house. So, but I just thought this house looked really cool in this film. It's
Okay, that house is the Ames Mansion, a 20
okay,
room historic landmark in Borderland State Park in Easton.
huh, huh, okay. Didn't know it. Don't know anything about it, but that's
Exactly, and that's why it didn't stick in my head.
yeah,
Like it's got a name, it's known, but it wasn't that interesting to me.
yeah. But by the way, two characters that I thought were really funny in this is the old lady with just constantly like she's sitting there. No one really is thinking that she's that aware or that she knows what's going on, and she was quite aware, and that to me was really funny. Just some of her reactions and how she's you know how it interplays, especially towards the end. Um, and the other thing is the, the boy that, speaking of Nazis, the boy sitting in the bathroom and what he was hearing and just
He was shockingly good. Like I didn't think I'd like him, and
Yeah,
he really worked in the film.
he did, and the funny part about it was, again, no small parts, because he really didn't have a whole lot of, he was there for screen time, but he didn't have a whole lot of like dialogue or things that, but he added a lot to the movie that was just, it was just kind of
He did,
humorous
and
and
in fact,
fun.
he added more than we think because a lot of his lines weren't written in the script; they were ad-libbed,
Oh
and they
wow.
were
Yeah.
good enough that the director said, we got to keep that.
Yeah. 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 Like I said, this worked on so many levels.
There was such attention to detail. I didn't get any screenshots of this, but do you remember how Christopher Plummer's character, his
Yeah.
portrait was shown many times
Yeah. Yeah.
throughout the film? The expression on his face was subtly changed digitally
Oh wow.
as the film went on to
Wow.
start being like really stern and disapproving,
Yeah.
just smiling at the end.
Wow. No, I didn't. I never realized that. And that's something now on subsequent viewings, I'm going to have to check it out. Um, yeah, the portrait I did, and it's funny because I did take notice. Whenever they show the portrait in the background, you're looking at it. So that, yeah, it's not something I picked up on, but that's going to be a fun thing for a rewatch later. But again, Dom, it was a good pick. This somehow or other, and that's part of the thing about like watching the Knives Out too, which I haven't seen. Um, that would make it maybe harder for me to see that and be objective. Is this one was so much fun, and I
The
love this.
Glass Onion, the sequel, the Glass Onion it's just as fun.
Okay, cool. Well, like I said, I'm gonna have to check it out for sure.
It's another movie where you're shown things and then you're shown them from a different point of view, and it expands the movie unfolds in front of you by the different points of view.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I wish we actually found something out on, if you see anything about in particular about the the Game of Thrones chair. That's the only way I can refer to it. But if you do happen to find any, leave a link.
I will. I'll look around, but man, I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I haven't either, and that's if there's anybody out there that has any particular knowledge about the chair, or how or why and how they this, I mean, I can see why they would use it. It's just, it's a
It's
murder.
a great prop. It's a great
Yeah,
thing on set.
yeah. And it added in the end when when the villain is actually finally revealed, and out he comes with the with the grabs a knife, breaks it off from the chair to try to stab her. And
Here's some of the attention to detail. I was reading that when they were talking about Chris Evans' character, they said, coming from this rich family, he would own nice clothes, but he wouldn't take care of them.
huh.
And so the costume person, the person that dealt with the clothing, had Chris Evans' clothes worn artificially,
Yeah,
so it looked like it had gotten a lot of wear and not
yeah.
been cared for.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I have noticed, and like I said, it's not like I'm not wealthy, and I don't come from a wealthy family, but just I've spent enough time with what I used to do for work, and delivering antiques and fine art. I've been in so many really super, the names that I could drop as far as really super wealthy people, and a lot of them, especially the older ones that grew up and maybe they came from wealth, and they know what wealth is, their old money. They tend to, it's like if they buy an LL Bean jacket, they, they wear the hell out of that jacket. It's something they've had for 40 years. Or if it's a sweater, and it's it's a really nice sweater they bought in Ireland or Scotland or something. They have wherever they what they have a lot of times, it's quality, and they wear the hell out of it. And not always the newer wealth, I think, tends to look at and think of things differently. But just like when you see like this, the room in this house behind me, that room, it looks like a very well lived in room, and there's all kinds of objects of that they've accumulated over the years. They're really cool, collectible items.
So it
And
also things that have significance. You're right.
yes,
It looks like a very lived in. The entire sets were great.
oh my God, absolutely. I
That
love the
that guy's attic room with
yes,
all the
I was
little
just gonna
figurines.
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I love that room. That room was he had the best room in the house. It was
I read that the set designers had the hardest time picking out those items. Like they would go to
wow.
antique stores and
Yeah.
they would go all over New England looking for those things.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, their hard work paid off, because that room, there it is there, but that room just looked so real.
Yep.
When I saw that room, I've seen tons of houses where with, like I said, old money houses where people had rooms like that there was you could and you just it was like it was fun to be in the rooms and just looking around and noticing like little things like, wow, that's cool, that's cool. It's so like I said, that room worked. Reality wise, it worked. um so much about this film did. And
Mhm.
hey, look at the lamps, the things on the walls, the bookcase. There's so many things that were like would draw your eye. um this Nothing about this film to me played false. And again, he shocked me with what he did for his voice and his character. It felt real. This almost
Oh my
reminded me.
God.
You know the movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Yep.
Um, it's that's a completely different movie, and it's not the same.
But it's Kevin Spacey with
Yes,
being
and
a
and and
Southerner.
and encompassing, yeah, that same type of it rings true like this one does. So that's all. That's another one we've got to do in time
Mike,
because
there are so many.
I know.
For those of you at home, we have this conversation so many times about
Yeah,
we have to do X movie.
yeah, yeah, and it's so hard too because you start to think of a film, and then you think, oh well, I probably we should do this one this week or whatever. So it's very hard for us to choose, which is one of the reasons why we've said, hey, leave,
Yeah,
although that
please
makes it even
suggest
harder.
something.
Yeah, suggest something. But yeah, it's like I said, this is so much fun for us because no matter, this was Dom's pick, and I was really happy he picked this one. It was a fun watch,
It's
and I mean,
amazing how much we love movies.
yeah, yeah,
Knives Out, Aliens, the Thing,
yeah,
Mulholland Drive. Like,
yeah.
I
Those are
don't care. They're all great.
Yeah, and the reason we love doing this, um, it's fun. Dom and I have been watching movies together for years. We
Decades.
yeah, so decades, many decades, and we've always enjoyed talking about them and watching them, and the interplay of it's our whole family's like that with movies. I think we're all movie buffs, and we really enjoy watching a good film or a bad one. But yeah, like I said, this is so fun because especially if it's one that's maybe even familiar to us from years ago, to for when one of us goes, hey, I want to do this one this week, we're like, yeah, awesome, that's cool. So again,
Yeah, I don't think any one of us, whatever we've picked, has said, no, I don't want to do that.
yeah, yeah, no, I've never had that reaction, and I feel like I'm gonna get something out of this. somehow, even if it's if even if you suggest something and I think, oh God, I hate that film, or if it's something that I really do, which I so far I haven't had that reaction at all. But if I did encounter that, I would still get into it in the sense of I'm going to enjoy rewatching this and then putting my comments out. So even if it turns out, there's been movies that I've suggested that you said I really didn't like really
Yeah,
didn't like
totally.
this one, but when I actually kind of get a kick out of it when you do come back with that, it actually it's fun. It makes it fun talking about it. So
Right. And I will fully admit, like my wife has said to me many times, I am much more judgmental about movies than most other people.
you are I do I have to say I think but I think that makes it fun when we do the talk when because sometimes you'll surprise me. I'll suggest a movie and I'll think he's gonna love this one, and you're like I really didn't enjoy that one at all. So
I am very like that in books. I
yeah,
am
yeah,
very judgmental about what I will watch and read.
yeah. But
I'll
I
still
mean,
watch or read it, but I'm
yeah.
judgmental.
But again, there's nothing wrong with that because, for one thing, we've said this many times, but um, movies are just like if you go and look at paintings in a gallery or sculptures or whatever, it's art and it's subjective. Art's subjective. One person looks at a painting and goes, "Oh my God, I love that. It's beautiful," or "This moves me in some way," and somebody else looks at it and goes, "Ah, geez, I hate that." It's like I get me away from that. It's so it depending on what your where your mind leads. It's the same thing with movies. People are going to watch something and they're going to go, "God, I hated that movie," or you've heard me say, like, I would not want to hang out with these people or
Right. Oh,
whatever.
exactly.
Now, these people, I would love to hang out with
No,
because
I would hate hanging out with these people.
well,
These people would be obnoxious.
no, they would be, but actually, I think I'd get a big kick out of it. I think I'd sit around and really enjoy watching the backbiting, the interaction that's going on with this
Maybe
family.
as a fly on the wall, but
Yeah,
that's the extent of it.
I wouldn't mind being at a dinner party and just watching them and thinking to myself, "Wow, look at this guy," or whatever what they're saying or doing, or so because the family was fun. They were even in their meanness, they were fun. So that's part of the appeal of the movie was how some of these characters were. But and again, I have to say, I am a big fan of Anna de Armas. She's just a terrific actress, beautiful, been in a lot of cool parts. That that movie, and it's not a huge film at all, but that the film with Keanu Reeves, where he ends up, you know what I'm talking about? He ends up buried up to his neck in the end. It's it's
All I can think of with that is Creep Show.
yeah, no, it's not
I can
that.
hold my breath a long
Yeah.
time.
Oh man, that's another one we got to do. So, once again, no, it's like I said, I think she's this one here. I almost didn't recognize her when I first started watching it. I didn't realize
I
she
totally didn't recognize her when I first started
yeah,
watching.
and again, I mean, if I didn't know Daniel Craig's face so well, I almost wouldn't have recognized him as far as the character.
He
He's so
completely became this character. Again, I can say so many good things about this movie, but in the end, Daniel Craig
yeah.
playing this character, I
Oh
loved it.
yeah, absolutely. And again, Don Johnson, I,
Amazing.
yeah, not a huge part, but man, he did it so well. And again, like I said, all these people, everything that every one of the characters, a little bit different from what maybe you might expect them, and that was one of the things that was fun. I mean, once again, Michael Shannon was one.
He was
What?
different than anything I've ever seen him as.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so familiar with him in certain roles, and seeing him in this. I almost didn't recognize him. Like he's got the
Right.
beard. Is it's and I was watching this and I was thinking, okay, I know this guy. Who's this guy? It took me probably 20, 30 minutes of watching the movie before I thought that's Michael Shannon. It just suddenly hit me. But he just seemed, even though the voices, the voices there's the familiar face, but something about him and the character, it threw me a little bit about who he was. So that to me is a
These people became their characters.
yeah, yeah, and that's a sign of a good film. Is people being able
Mhm.
to dive deep into who they were and their particular characters. But yeah, again, great film. Um, you
So
know,
it was my choice. So I don't think it's
yeah,
any surprise that I'm giving it two thumbs up.
yeah, same, absolutely.
Absolutely
Um,
love this film.
it's a solid two thumbs up, and Jamie Lee Curtis again, fantastic. Um, just again, these people, a lot of them, it was like just subtle blended parts. But Dom, good pick for this week,
Thank you. Thank you.
absolutely. And having said all that, I think we can probably look at this as a wrap. Um,
Yep. Yep. It's
um,
your turn next. You have a
it
movie for us.
it is, and I do. And this one, it's actually for me to say this one. I have I'm I've got it's a little bit of a struggle because I just first of all I want to say you and I were talking about this before we started filming this, but Michael Madsen died today,
Hmm.
and I was almost going to grab one of his, but I've been like really wanting to do this particular film, and that I'm going to suggest for next week, and I almost was going to grab something from. We'll still have to do. We got to do it anyway. And Michael Madsen, it's a bad loss for another classical actor that's been in so many movies, Kill Bill and Reservoir
Reservoir
Dogs.
Dogs.
Yeah, so many movies. But The Getaway. So I was almost going to grab one of those, but the movie that I had in my mind before I heard about Michael Madsen today was the movie The Last Detail.
Ah, yep. Jack
Um,
Nicholson.
yep, Jack Nicholson and not Randy Quaid. Yeah, Randy Quaid. Um,
Is it Randy Quaid?
no, Dennis. Yeah, Dennis.
Dennis
Yeah,
Quaid.
Randy Quaid. It is Randy Quaid.
Oh,
Um, yeah, Randy Quaid is. But there's a lot of Karen Blacks in that movie. There's a ton of actresses that are in the actors that are in the movie that do cameos. It's a terrific film, and it's a movie I've always enjoyed watching. So I could have put it off and thrown in a Michael Madsen one, but down the road we'll do it. But that's The Last Detail. That's my pick for next week.
all right.
So
It's been a minute since I've seen that one.
yeah, and again it has been for me too. So that'll make for a fun rewatch. So
Yep.
um, and that's one I do own on Vudu. So that'll be an easy rewatch. And but Dom, having said all of that, I think we can call this. And this is 4th of July. Today's the third. So
Yeah, I
Fourth of
hope
July.
everyone has had when this goes live, I hope everyone has had a great 4th of July.
Yes, yeah, because when this goes up, it'll be Saturday, and that's the 5th. So you guys will be seeing it then. And yes, have. I hope you had a safe, happy, fun 4th of July. And Dom, I said the same to you. Have a fun, safe 4th of July.
Mine's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Well, mine's going to be at work. I'm having to work this year,
Ugh.
like many people, but it is what it is. So you got to do what you got to do. but but anyway, happy Fourth, everybody. And Dom, I will see you next week.
I'll see you next week. One
Take care,
movie,
buddy.
1 week.
Yeah, so long.